I went to Japan this summer and I thought it'd be fun to share the experience and show some of the photos that I took while I was there. I like to call myself a photographer, but at the end of the day, I still feel like I'm still on the more amateur side of things. The camera that I used for this trip was the Sony a7 Mark IV, and I absolutely love this camera. I upgraded from the Canon T6i, which served me well for years. My T6i handled everything I needed, however, I wanted something that was capable of more. So I ended up doing some research, and I really liked the Sony's line of camera, the Alpha series, and I also had a ZV-1. I really like this camera too. This is my first Sony camera, and it's really fun point and shoot camera. Now, these are the lenses I used, and there's a funny story about this one. This is the Sirui Nightwalker series. Now, initially, I had ordered the 16mm f-stop 1.2. Yeah, 1.2 sniper series. It was at the time, well, I'm pretty sure it was released somewhere in the beginning of this year or end of last year. But I ordered that one, super excited for it, and after a lot of hassle with FedEx and, delivery dates delayed by almost to when my flight was gonna take off, I was finally able to receive the lens, but when I opened it, I was not greeted with the Sniper series. I was greeted with the Nightwalker, which isn't a bad lens, but it's the same focal distance, it's the same f-stop sensor. It goes for the same sensor, APS-C. I think I said that right. But the main difference is it's not autofocus, and I was really excited to use something like that on the trip. To have a prime lens at 16mm with an autofocus and such a low f-stop would have been nice. But the universe had other plans for me, and you know what? It was so close to the trip. It was really like the day of or 2 days before that I could not fix it. So I just decided that I'd handle it and return it when I get back. I didn't do that though. Oh, and on the trip I ended up getting the Tamron lens that I showed earlier, the 70-300 millimeter lens, but that wasn't until later. So you won't see pictures using that lens until later in the trip. So to kick off our trip, my fiance and I spent the night of the trip actually getting our room ready, getting it, putting things away, moving things around just so that it's easier for my nephew to come in and watch our cats. I believe I stayed up until 5 a.m. and then I got to go to sleep for about 2 hours. And then the next day, that morning, we spent that morning just driving around Las Vegas saying goodbye to relatives and friends. As a person, I get very scared before flights. I kind of get like a gloomy feeling because it's kind of silly, but I feel like that's the end. Like I'm going to die on this trip. So I like to make sure I get my goodbyes out of the way and, tell people how much they mean to me. So arriving to the Las Vegas airport, we got our bags checked and everything was looking pretty good. We got onto our plane, but we ended up sitting on the tarmac for about 3 hours with no air conditioning in September, which if you're from Las Vegas, I'm pretty sure we're still in the triple digits even in October. It's really hot here. So sitting in a plane filled with 80 plus people in this kind of heat, it's not ideal. And so naturally a lot of people are getting aggravated and getting off the plane actually, but we couldn't afford that. We had to be there because we had to catch our flight to the Narita airport from Los Angeles. Now finally, after a grueling 3-hour flight to Los Angeles and a 9-hour flight to Narita, Japan, we arrived in Japan.
He's in
In Narita, we finally met up with my cousin who was already in Japan for a couple days before us, and then we headed straight to Chiba. I didn't record much that day. I did, however, take this photo, but this is, the boys. I love Polaroids. I think everybody does. They're timeless, they're fun, and, it's something that I like to look at and think of, in the future when I have kids that, I could share my stories and reflect with them. So that's fun. After arriving at our hotel, we had a pretty good rest, and then we woke up, and about 3 hours after that, we began to explore Chiba Station. I love Chiba. It's such a wonderful city. It's so quiet there, and there's a lot of things to do, and it's a nice buffer. It's a nice area to visit. Like if you're landing in Narita, and getting from Narita to Tokyo is pretty easy, but if you want some rest and you want to explore more of Japan, I highly recommend that if you are landing in Narita, just stop in Chiba for 1 to 2 days and just explore the city. It's really nice, it's really quiet, and there's a lot of stuff to do there. One of my favorite things to do was to stroll around the stores in Chiba Station. They actually had a big camera there, and funny thing about that is whenever we'd go there, my fiance and the rest of the group would kind of just drop me off there, and I would just spend our entire time at Chiba Station in big camera, just really exploring all the lenses and cameras. And that's just one floor. Only one floor had cameras and lenses, but there was just so many of them, so many camera bags, tripods, everything camera. I loved it. And the fact that you get to go there and you get to see all these different lenses and cameras and actually get to hold them and play around with them is so cool. We don't have that here anymore in the States. My local Best Buy used to have a really cool camera display, but they got rid of that after numerous thefts. But it was cool to have that in Japan, especially with the unique lenses there, like the TT Artisan lenses, 7 Artisans, and I think it's Leiwa, something like that. Chiba Station also has an incredible food court. Last time we were there in December of last year, and I had this really nice bowl of ramen. And it had some thinly sliced beef in there. It was kind of like bulgogi. I'm not sure if it was bulgogi though. It did taste different from how bulgogi usually tastes. And I went to go and try and find that this time around, but I'm pretty sure it's a seasonal menu, so they didn't have it, but they did have it with rice. So I was excited to have that, but it was still fine. So we headed back to the hotel, but prior to that, we stopped at a 7-Eleven. If you've been in Japan, that's, the routine when heading back to your hotel. You stop at a 7-Eleven, and I picked up this. It's the Shonen Jump Weekly Jump. And when we were there, just a quick explanation, I really love Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm a big fan of it. And while we were there, the series was coming to an end. I believe the last 4 chapters were coming out for Jujutsu Kaisen, and I was really excited to pick them up. And so I was able to pick up only 2. I was able to get this one and this one. Oh, this one. Jujutsu Kaisen is inside of here. It's not on the cover, but it's in here. It was cool being able to pick these up, but I was not able to get the last ones, which sucks. But still, nonetheless, I'm very happy I was able to pick this up. It means a lot to me. Grew up reading Shonen Jump mangas, so that was really cool. Oh, and I also had got this while I was there. Spoiler alert. Gojo dies. And this was the cover art for the one where he dies in. It's kind of like a memorial photo. These are all in Japanese, the manga included. I have a bunch of them. I picked up a Berserk one, a Vagabond one. They're all super cheap there. It only cost me 500 yen for this one. And I got this one in the airport, and airports are notorious for upcharging their prices with literally everything. So, but drawback is it's all in Japanese. I do plan on going to Japan next year as well. I'm gonna try to go there as much as I can. So learning Japanese is something that I'm trying to do, so these are helping me. And the next morning, we made our way to Chiba Park, and I finally get to put my photography skills to work. You'll notice something about the pictures, however, that they have like a misty effect to them, and this was because all my lenses were in the hotel room where it was cold, and when you step outside, the hot, humid air just made a lot of condensation stick to the glass of the lens, and even on my camera screen sometimes, so it was pretty hard to tell, when you're in focus, when you're not. So I actually had to wait until the camera's lens adjusted to the outside temperature in order to really take some pictures. On our way to Chiba Park, I got my first real taste of Japan in the summer. Coming from Las Vegas, it's a dry heat. And I think I can appreciate that way more now that I don't live somewhere that humid and that hot, because it's really bad, especially if you have long hair like my fiance, my brother. It just makes your hair go crazy. And they kept on experiencing that this time around. I really enjoyed walking through Chiba Park. It's really nice. I didn't get to do it last year when we went, but I'm very happy that I did it this time. And as tourists, we made sure to be respectful and soaked in the scenery while maintaining, a nice, respectful approach to things to not ruin, any of the locals' daily routine. After a bit of walking though, I really found another big issue that we'll be experiencing on this trip to Japan, which is spiders. I went to the bathroom, and as I was taking a leak, there was this spider, really big spider right next to me.
Come on, you check this thing out. What? You don't see it? Oh yeah. Jesus, man. Freaked me out. I was taking a piss right now.
After the spider encounter, we continued our peaceful stroll, and then ended up making our way back to the hotel, where we packed up everything and started making our way to Nara. Which, in order to get to Nara, what we did was we had to go take the train to Tokyo Station, and then from Tokyo Station we bought our Shinkansen tickets, the bullet train, and then we rode the bullet train all the way to Kyoto, and then in Kyoto we took just the regular trains down to Nara. Moving across Japan with all that luggage is not for the faint of heart, especially if you have a fiance or a girlfriend or a wife. Just know that's not her luggage to lug around, that's her luggage for you to lug around. But alas, we made it to Nara after moving across all of Japan with all that luggage. It's very stressful, and last year what we did was we actually used Yamato Transport, which is a business there in Japan where you can just give them your luggage information, where it's going, and they'll just send it to the hotel. I think you can do it for airports and select Airbnbs. I think Airbnbs. I know for sure hotels, and actually I'm not quite sure about airports. I'm pretty sure you can for airports. But yeah, very useful. It's not that expensive. I think I had 3 luggages that I had myself last year, and I believe it was like $50 a luggage in order to ship it. We made it to Nara Park, another incredible city over there in Japan. I love it. The deer park, the temples there, and the food. I really love it. They had so many all-you-can-eat barbecues there. I loved it so much. Now, finding our Airbnb was a bit of an adventure. We actually split up in 2 groups in typical travel fashion to try and locate our Airbnb. After a stressful search, one of us finally spotted it and we reunited. Feeling relieved, we then unpacked and got some rest after a very stressful day. For this part of the trip, we decided to stay in the Airbnb. I have to say, I never stayed anywhere quite like this Airbnb. Last year, we strictly stuck to hotels, but this time we went to more Airbnbs and rented houses, and this one was by far my favorite. The Airbnb host stated that it was built by his mom, who is an architect, and it is so nice. It's so structurally sound, no creaking floorboards. The front yard was beautiful, just everything about it I loved. And it had a spa bathtub, like it had jets in the bathroom. And I remember when we first, my brother was showing me how it works, and it turned on unexpectedly, and I remember I ran out of the bathroom because I got so scared. But yeah, it was a really nice Airbnb, really, really nice. In the end though, at the Airbnb, I ended up sleeping on the tatami mats with some blankets and pillows. I really like sleeping on the floor. I don't mind it at all. And I think my mom says it's because sleepovers that I really enjoyed it, and usually on sleepovers, you end up sleeping on the floor. So that's probably something that stuck with me to adulthood from my childhood, which I don't mind. I really like sleeping on the floor, and I hear some things that's good for you, but I also hear some things that's not, so who knows. So after going to sleep at the Airbnb, the majority of us ended up waking up around 9 p.m. and we decided to go shop around some stores nearby. On our way to the stores, however, we came across even more spiders, and while I don't like spiders, my fiance doesn't like spiders, I still try to get photos and videos of them whenever I can, but these photos, I'm scared of them. I'm trying not to get too close, so I'm trying to get close enough so that you can really see the detail of the spider, so they kind of came out weird. We ended up going to Book Off and 2nd Street. I love these stores so much. If you're into thrifting, Japan is a country you should visit. It has Book Off, 2nd Street, Hard Off, and there's another Off. Those are thrift stores we visit the most. There's a chain of them. They're all over Japan. Wherever you go, you'll find one of them, and they're great. They have so many vintage items. When we were there, I ended up purchasing my fiance a Nintendo Switch and surprising her with it.
It's how she's gonna react. Watch. Oh my god, me! I love it! Hey, you, don't go in there. It sucks in there. Okay. Who is this guy? I haven't met you before.
I don't know. Check out what I got.
No fucking way.
Let me just get it right now.
Yeah, the whole head.
Shut the fuck up.
That's it? I don't get a thank you, and I get the oh my god.
Oh my god. I got it for you.
I got it for you.
Thank you.
You've been wanting
That's
one.
so fucking cool.
It's the good one. Yeah, it's
found
the
a
good
really
one.
good
one.
cheaper
That's what I've been wanting to.
Yeah, but she found some for cheaper.
Okay, there's a bunch of guitars. We go that way.
I'm
and if you
hungry.
go further down.
I want to sit down.
Okay.
No way! You found a Game Boy?
She's more excited about the Game Boy.
If you're big into thrifting, Book Off is the place to go, man. So many cameras, so many iPods, and all at a discounted price. And because the yen is down right now, your dollar goes further in Japan. So highly recommend, if you're in Japan, giving it a look. And then we were pretty hungry, so we decided to stop at a McDonald's. And after that, one of us decided to go to Nara Park at night. Now, I gotta say this. We've been to Nara Park before, last year in December. It was cold, it was quiet. For the most part, there was crowds, big crowds. But being there at night, it was just so tranquil, so nice, so quiet, so peaceful. The deers, the majority of them weren't around. They went into the surrounding forest to, go to sleep, rest. But there were still some stragglers nearby. So while we were there, I just recorded around the, temple area. And I'm surprised we could get into the temple, get that far into the temple. It was really beautiful. And we got to ditch the crowds, the heat, and just basically have the temple to ourselves, which was, something not many people will be able to experience. But if you go there and you go there at night, please, please, please be respectful. Obviously, don't overstep. While we were there, we made sure that we can do this. There were security guards around, and we made sure that we can, record here at night and be here at night. Some areas were closed off, and we did not try to enter them. Please don't do that. But it was so beautiful, so beautiful. As we walked through the beauty of Nara Park at night, I couldn't help but appreciate the calm and peacefulness of the moment. With no crowds in the temple and the soft light, it felt like the perfect way to end the first chapter of our journey. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll be continuing exploring Japan, experiencing more adventures, and dive deeper into the sights and sounds that make this country so incredible. Thank you for watching. And I know there wasn't that many photos this time around, but rest assured, next video, I really start going more into photography. You can look at this video more as like an introduction to it, basically. So yeah, thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day or night.